about the big one, which is menopause, I guess. The new research that we have on women's brain health is that our brains are going through a neural pruning as we move through hormonal change and into lower levels of estrogen in the body. So our estrogen supports neural growth in our brains, and we have this pruning to get a more efficient and more effective brain at the end of the process when we are in full menopause.
Can you explain what neural pruning is?
Well, just the fact that estrogen helps the growth of new neurons in our brain, and then as estrogen depletes, the neurons that we don't need just get pruned away. This happens with our teenagers in puberty. We see them kind of vacate for a while there, and it's very frustrating. We're actually going through the same process ourselves. And the brain, it doesn't shrink. You don't have less of a brain. You have more of an efficient brain at the end of the process with all of the strong neural pathways that you need in the future, which is why at this stage of life, we often feel like, I've got no fucks to give anymore. They are literally being neural pruned away for our benefit. But that can mean that you experience some brain fog. You can not feel like yourself anymore. And you notice this kind of awareness that almost to the point of resentment, that I used to do all these things all the time. Why am I doing this?
You're judging yourself.
Yeah. Well, but also you're judging what you've committed to do in the past as estrogen depletes. And then you're like, okay, I don't think I want to carry on just looking after everyone else. It's my time now. We can also experience a lack of motivation, and if we have any kind of, we're on the spectrum for ADHD, those symptoms can come up at this time of life, and we really have to treat ourselves with the utmost self-compassion. We're going through a very real process with our brain health. You're not broken, you're getting a more efficient brain at the end, but we need to be kind to ourselves as we go through the process.
It's interesting. It's like in times of transition in our lives, we want the transition to happen really quickly.
Get this done.
But we need to give our brain and our body and ourselves time to make that
and
happen.
Nutrition.
And we need to give it fuel, nutrition, the nutritionist speaking. So that kind of connects to the idea, or not the idea, this new science that I've discovered about our habits. And so again, some of the work I do is about habit training and healthy habits. And we often start losing those healthy habits when I call it adulting, forward motioning. We forget to look after ourselves. But what's really interesting is at this time of our life when that neural pruning is happening, our old habits will come out more. And by habits, I mean everything: thought patterns, food choices, being physically active. And the reason that is because when we're in puberty, it's interesting to kind of compare puberty to perimenopause, menopause, and after menopause as well. When we're in puberty, there's something called an excess of myelination. And myelin is kind of like a netting that wraps around our nerves, and it cements in those nerves, so they're like stronger in our brain, if that makes sense. So all of the habits that we make in our life from basically the age of 10 to the age of 25, when the brain is completely developed, they are the strongest neural pathways we have in our brain. So does that make sense when you think about what are habits I go to when I'm stressed? Oh, maybe I bite my nails because I used to bite my nails as a kid. It's because they're cemented in stronger. That doesn't mean that we have to live with them. It just means that in times of weakness or neural pruning or times of stress, times of change, our brain will go, oh, this is a pathway in my brain that is a stronger neural pathway or a stronger road or an easier road to take.
Or a coping mechanism.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we revert back to those patterns because they're stronger inside our brain. And guess what one of those patterns is that we have between the age of 10 and 25? Low self-esteem. Judging ourselves, comparing ourselves to others. Because when we're in that 10 to 25 years, we really are trying to find our place in the world. So if you find yourself all of a sudden struggling with imposter syndrome, low self-esteem, low self-confidence, it's because your brain is reverting back to those actual neurons in your brain that create the thought patterns to low self-esteem that were created when you were younger, because they are a stronger pathway in your brain. So that explains why all of a sudden right? Low self-esteem, body image, all of those things.
Emotional eating.
Disordered
eating.
Start happening.
Yeah, I see it a lot in midlife women.
Yeah.
And it's the habits from the past coming to the fore.
Yeah.
We need to shut that chatter down at this stage of life.
Yeah. And we can.
Yeah. And then, of course, we are part of the sandwich generation at this age. And what that means is that you're incredibly busy launching young adults or taking care of teens, and then you step into another role where you may also be caring for aging parents. So you have arrangements to make for them, and you're thinking about their future, and you're spinning all of these plates.
You're the meat in the sandwich. You're the vegetables in the sandwich. You're like the tasty stuff, the good stuff. Everybody wants a piece of you. Everybody wants a piece of you.
But we're the organizers for our families and communities. We're carrying the emotional load, the household load, and we often have workloads as well. So we're completely overscheduled. And it's oftentimes when you are just running from one thing to another, or you're constantly, your brain has been co-opted to think about arrangements for others all of the time, that's when you lose yourself. So we can get a sense at this time of life in our 40s and beyond that we just don't even know who we are anymore. We get no downtime, no me time, and we've forgotten the things that we like and we love and where our moxie is generally.
One of the things that I find a pattern that I've seen with my clients too is that real people pleasing cycle.
Yeah.
You're trying to please everybody on both sides. So it's kind of like somebody asks you to do something, you don't really want to do it, but you say yes. And then you do it and you find that it uses a lot of your energy, and you kind of get resentful that you said yes, but then you feel guilty that you got resentful that you said yes, even though you're really exhausted. And then it just goes back again. The next time somebody asks you to do something, that guilt drives you to say yes.
I should drive my teen. I should help my mother. Huge.
And so the idea of self-care is really kind of put on the back burner. Let me talk about self-care for a second. I've been in the wellness industry for over 25 years, and I've seen it all. And you might kind of say I'm a little anti-wellness industry, or I like the way the wellness industry is starting to move now in terms of being true and authentic and genuine. There's actually a lot of pressure in society for this idea of self-care. But what the heck is self-care? Right? And there's a lot of pressure around, if you just learn how to meditate for an hour a day, or if you work out an hour a day, there's all this pressure, right? And we have to remember that a lot of that pressure is coming from sales, marketing, right? And
the patriarchy.
And the patriarchy. And the pressure of self-care and in the wellness industry makes us feel bad about ourselves, because I don't have 60 minutes to meditate a day. And what is meditating? And the way that I learned what meditating was clear your mind. Well, how the hell do you clear your mind? I can't clear my mind. As soon as I close my eyes, I'm thinking to-do list, right? But here's the thing. This is actually a really amazing study that's come out recently about the idea of micro habits. So we used to think that you have to do something for a longer period of time to create a habit. And what they've discovered is if you do something for 60 seconds throughout the day, or a micro habit, 60 to 90 seconds, it actually has a higher percentage of reprogramming your brain to develop that habit. So here's an example. Let's say in the morning, we're live here, there's people in the background. Let's say in the morning you decide you're going to do a 30-minute meditation. And you do that in the morning, and then you go off to work, or you go off throughout your day, and that feeling of peace and calm from the meditation doesn't follow you throughout the day, because all of a sudden all the stress of the day starts building. So your brain goes, that 30 meditation actually didn't do much. I only felt good during the 30-minute meditation, right? I only felt good during the 30-minute meditation.
I was calm then, but I'm as stressed as I ever was now.
Right. So it's actually not creating change in your brain. It's not creating a pathway that's going to guide you to make better habits and healthier choices. But let's say, and the studies show that it only needs to be 5 1-minute pieces throughout the day. Let's say that you meditated for a minute in the morning, and then 2 hours later you took 5 minutes into deep breaths, and then 2 hours later you said some affirmation. You're spreading it throughout your day. You're consistently feeding your brain. And that is more impactful than trying to make the big change. So small and slow solutions, small and slow micro habits are more impactful to actually reprogram your brain and make the big changes so that you're easily and naturally making healthy choices in your life. And guess what? It's easier. You don't have to take 60 minutes.
I guess it's baby steps towards the same goal. And I guess you're training your brain. You can be at peace in all situations and all moments in your life.
That's right.
So what can we do? How can we support ourselves? How do we fight back when we know that we have all of these pressures on ourselves? How do we support ourselves at this time?
That's a good question, Louise. Right? So it's great. I'm so happy you're here at the end of the video, because I hope you've had an aha moment
and learned
thought,
something.
I'm not alone.
It's real.
This is real.
It's a real brain process that we're going through.
Yeah.
It's a real hormonal change, and these are real pressures.
Do not let someone tell you that how you're feeling is not real.
No.
Talk to more women
Yes.
and make it real.
Get with a friend.
Get with a friend to talk to them. And this is part of the reason why Louise and I have put together a tiny course to teach you micro habits, because we know that your time is valuable. So we've created a tiny course called the 10-Minute Overwhelm Solution. And what do I mean by tiny course? I actually mean it's not a 12-module course. It's literally a 51-minute video where we're going to teach you 5 science-backed micro habits that you can easily and naturally incorporate into your day starting right away. And we also give you resources, like there's some recipes in there and there's some other fun things in there. But honestly, you can learn 5 micro habits, our top 5 that we've chosen, that we do with our clients and with ourselves, that are super, super effective, and they all take less than 90 seconds. Amazing. So if you put that together, we're talking about making a 10-minute commitment for yourself spread out throughout the day. And if you want to learn about it, you want to learn more, the course is only $27 Canadian, and all you have to do is click the link below, click the button, get your course now. We're just launching it, so get that course before the price bumps up and start to make some really small effective changes so you can feel better.
We need to see more women stepping out of overwhelm and back into their power. Yeah.
Let's do it. All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Bye. Ridiculous. So ridiculous. Oh, it's not even a kid. Okay.
Okay, that was a lot of information.
I think we did a pretty good job. You want to go for a swim?
You can bet I do.
Okay, this is your reminder to connect with someone and do something that brings you joy. I jump in Lake Ontario every month of the year as a polar plunge. Louise is going to join me. It is May 9th, spring here in Ontario, and the lake degrees is 4 degrees Celsius. So
I'm going to see how far I can get in, but yeah.
Here we go, real women, real bodies, real adventures.